Hey, beautiful people. Good morning. I'm here to just bring you my quick personal vintage hair tutorial. I'm going to show you the products that I use, and I'm just going to show you how I do it. It's really easy. It won't cause you a headache. Like, you're not going to be on YouTube, like, trying to figure out what you did wrong. It's really pretty simple. So here we go. First things first, you'll need hairspray. You'll need thermal protectant. I use Kenra's Flexible Hold Thermal Hairspray. This also helps give me some hold, so that way I'm not doing my hair every day with a curling iron, because thermal ironing every day just is not going to be good for your hair. So that's what I'm using. I'm going to use the alcohol-free Healthy Sexy Hair. So this is by Sexy Hair. It's called Pure Addiction. I use other hairsprays that aren't alcohol-free, but this is just the one I have on me right now. The next thing you're going to use, FHI detangling brush. I love this thing. If you have a kid who hates having their hair brushed, use this in the shower. Holes in it so it won't get moldy and gross. Perfect. Next thing, I like the Kevin Murphy cutting comb. You don't have to have this, a comb of any sort, but I like to have the wide tooth side and the fine tooth side. And then the next thing you'll need duckbill clips. You can literally get these at Sally's. You can get them online. I buy mine at Sally's. Not a big deal. All right, here we go. So the only other thing you might need is some way to hold your hair up, because we're going to do 3 sections. So I'm just going to use my hair tie this time. You can use crocodile clips. You can use whatever you want. It's really not a big deal, but I'm just going to use that because that's what I have in it. So here we go. Section it off. I'm going to go at the ear, and I'm going to take anything that's underneath the ear here. Then you're going to spray. I'm going to take a little piece from right back here. There's no science behind how big of the piece or anything like that. So I'm going to wrap it forward so you can see that my barrel is coming forward, because I want this curl to come forward. I leave the tail end out. I have my thermal iron at 380 degrees. You don't really need more than that. Leave the tail end out because it doesn't need as much time on the heat, because your ends are usually the first that get really frazzled. So that's what I'm doing here. Next step, you're going to go to your next layer. We're going to do 3 layers today. So I cut my hair shorter a couple days ago. I did it myself, and then I had to have my husband and my little brother help me. So, because I couldn't really get the back, I had a really deep U shape. So I'm going to do 3 sections. When I have longer hair, I only need to do 2, but this just really ensures that I get the curl that I want to. So you're going to go do the next layer. I just went right at my temple to grab it, and then just curl it the same way. Curl half this side of your head forward, and then this side of your head forward, and then that's it. All right, now you're gonna take that top half down. Now this is the only section that I do different. So I'm gonna get my brush, I'm gonna find my part, which is right about here. And then I'm going to curl my bang first, so that way I have enough bang to create my little bouffant in the front. So you see I took about that much. It's essentially like where the fine tooth and the wide tooth separate. That's about the section. I make sure not to take too far over, because otherwise these little baby hairs up front will be a pain in the butt to deal with later. So then you're going to section this piece in half. You don't want it too thick on either piece, because otherwise you're not going to be able to work with it, and it's not going to get the amount of heat it needs for the curl. It's okay to go back in if you've not gotten something that you feel comfortable with. So I just had to take more out. So still gonna take a curling iron, and this we're rolling back. So the clip is in the front. This is the clip, this little piece that clips out. Gonna roll it all the way to the end. You don't have to roll this one to the end. The reason I roll my bangs to the end is because I often miss those pieces, and in my bang I need it to be caught, because you'll see. So there's my first little barrel. I'm gonna take my duckbill clip. You'll have literally a hole in between. That's where that iron was. And you're gonna pin it. Go to that front piece. Same thing, I'm gonna roll this back. Now the front piece is a little different because mine is pretty short now. So I just make sure I get a really good roll right there up front, and then I pull through until the little hairs start coming out, and then I roll down. I let it set, because you can see like this little guy, this is like the crown piece where I have my little bitty widow's peak right here. So it was going to get teased, so it isn't going to be a big deal, but that's also why I make sure to curl the base. Take your second duckbill, push this together, smooth it all down so it stays. And then you're just going to pin it. And there's that. And then the rest of the hair, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to roll this side forward and this side forward until it meets in the back. And then that's it. The one little tip that I will say is don't take too much hair. If you're trying to curl too big of pieces, you're going to eventually look like, sorry, I had a fuzz on my shirt. It's going to, honestly, like I describe it as looking like a helmet head. So you don't want to take too big of sections, especially up front. But I took like 2-year anniversary photos with my husband a couple of years ago, and I noticed the back of my head, and this is where I learn how to make my style better as I look at the pictures. So looking back on it, I took too big of pieces in the back, and I just looked like I had this shelf, this bubble right here, and then curl at the end, and I didn't like it. So tip and trick, more layering when your hair is short. So take it up section by section, do more sections. That's why I do 3 this way, but normally with my normal hair length, what it was a couple days ago, I would do 2 sections because it was longer and it would cascade better. But you just want to make sure you're not taking too much hair. So you can see that, I mean, I can see through this hair for the most part. It doesn't have to be able to read something between the hair or anything like that, but you definitely need a smaller piece, because if you keep taking them large, number one, they're not going to get the amount of heat that they need per that curl. And like I said, with this style, you end up looking like you got a helmet head. So that's my trick for that. All right. Okay. Now these are the finishing 2 steps. So I've got everything curled. This is where you're going to go back through and see if you missed anything. Like this hair right here, I could see it at the bottom. I know that I missed it with my curling iron, so I didn't grab it when I grabbed something. So I'm just going to take this little piece and I'm going to curl it forward. That's what you're going to do. And then once you feel like you've found everything, you just don't want straight hairs in this. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You're going to have like stragglers. I will say that I had my hair curled a couple days ago, and so that's why my ends aren't going to be as straight as if I first washed it. But that's okay. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your hairspray and you're going to spray it all. And then you're just going to let it set. You're going to let it dry. You're going to let it cool down, because if you brush it out too quickly, you're not going to end up with the style you want. So I'm probably going to let it set for like a minute or 2. And then that's it. So the other thing is, if you have any questions, if you're having any problems, message me. Even if it's just a matter of like a product recommendation that you want or need, I am more than willing to give them to you. So just let me know. Send me a message. All right, we've hit that 2-minute mark. Everything feels really nice and dry, because hairspray will feel wet at first. That's why when I say dry, that's what I mean. I'm going to take out both my clips up top, and we're going to do our bangs first. So I'm grabbing that first piece of bang. This is going to be probably the most important piece of bang, because this is really going to create your bouffant. So I'm just brushing it out, with my comb, take the fine tooth comb side, and we're gonna tease it down. This is your base right here up front. This is your base. Make sure you get it. I even pull over direct to make sure that I get it packed down the way I need it to. So it'll do that. And then you're gonna grab that second curl, brush it out, and then you're gonna combine the two pieces, brush the ends out, and tease them together. Some people call this ruching, some people call it teasing, some people call it ratting, batting. I call it teasing. And so now they're both together. You don't want them to separate. If they separate, you're going to have issues. So now that your hair looks like a crazy mess, you're just going to take the wide tooth side and you're just gonna kind of like smooth it over. This is important for your hair. So even if you're watching this just because you're just interested in what I'm doing, maybe if it's just because it's like, oh God, look at this girl. Like, I don't care, it's fine, whatever. But if you are teasing your hair, whether you do vintage style, you do modern styles, it doesn't matter. You need to make sure that you smooth this out. If you don't smooth it out, you look like you have a rat's nest. I don't know how many times I see this on girls and it drives me nuts. And like, sometimes it's like, I don't want to say anything to people because maybe they know and maybe that's what they like. And I get that. But at the same time, as a hairstylist, I'm like, guys, just calm it down. Like, smooth it out. Like, literally, I'm just taking a comb and it's already 80% better. Yeah, I'm still crazy here, but we're going to get there. Okay, so now I'm going to take the little tail here. And honestly, you want this to flip backwards. I'm going to pull it down. I know that just sounds really weird, but I'm just going to pull it down. I'm going to start relaxing it. And then I'm going to go up front where I see more crazies. And you're just going to essentially comb and pat it down. Because I don't like mine teased to Jesus. I love Jesus, but I don't want it teased to him. Because this is my bang area, and if it's too big, when you go to take photos, you're going to look ridiculous. So I'm just smoothing it out using my comb. You always want to start with a really good tease. You could always push the tease down, but if you don't get a good base, you're not going to get the hair you want. So then what I do is I take my finger where I have this little wave right here, roll, and I'm going to start pulling it down and just pushing. You see? This is how I like mine. I don't want it too crazy, nothing like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the back here. I'm going to pick up, it's like right behind your ear here. Pick that up. I'm going to let that be brushed out with the comb. And make sure that when I'm teasing, I'm using my fine tooth side. Tease a little, brush the ends out. Tease a little, brush your ends out. Once again, you'll have that crazy poof. And then if you're somebody like me who gets those flyaways, I'll show you a product to use. Honestly, just an oil to pat the flyaways down will help tremendously. So, and then here's the trick, making sure you go behind that bang and getting this area, because if this area is flat, when you go like to take any kind of pictures, it's going to be crazy. So make sure you tease it. So you should look like you have antlers. Yes. But now we're going to calm it down. So I'm going to go right to the base. I'm going to make sure everything connects together. You don't want these two to be separated. You want all of your teasing to connect. So honestly, I'm just going to brush this down here. I don't need too crazy of a poof. And then I'm just going to kind of make sure it's all patted together. Make sure I'm good here. Like I said, you may have flyaways. It's one thing to have the flyaways, but you don't want it to look like a ratted mess here. Like, you don't see like a bunch of like teasing done here. You know my bang is teased because I've told you, but you don't want it to look like a bird's nest. Literally, it looks like all crisscross in a bird's nest. You just don't want it that way. Next thing you're going to do, you're going to take your brush, your detangling brush. This is what I like to use. I'm just going to brush my ends out. Make sure to leave this alone. You don't want to do anything to that. Okay, so there's that part. Now get ready for the next part, because this part's important too. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same Kevin Murphy comb that I've been using this whole video. I think hair should be easy, especially everyday hair. I don't know how many bloggers I see, beauty bloggers, who like, they do like an hour video on how to do something. And like, yes, sometimes you need to do the long way to get exactly what you want. But when you're doing an everyday look, I don't do those things. So you see, I've got this first piece of hair up front, push this back, fine tooth side, I'm brushing down. Now I'm going to take it halfway in this curl because you see it's going to create a C pattern. And I'm just going to lightly tease it up. And now I don't like the way my ends are sitting, so I'm going to make sure I tease my ends a little more. And then you can always finesse these later on. But then you're going to do that all around the head with all of the hair. You can do a lot of tease. It's just going to make your hair shorter. The more you tease it, the shorter it's going to get. Making sure I get my ends. The ends are going to be your most important part. So make sure you're doing those. Don't leave them out. But just giving it a little body at the bottom is what I'm doing here. If you were somebody who was trying to do like Hollywood waves, you would go through, you would tease it, and then you would clip at the C pattern. So you'd clip here, you'd clip here, and then you would spray it and let it set that way. I kind of do a mix between a Hollywood wave and just a curl, to be honest, because like I said, during the week, I'm at the salon normally. So I don't need a whole hour's worth of hair being done, because I'll be honest, I'm perpetually late. So if you're my friend, you know. But also, like, I don't see the necessity of using that time for that. I'd rather be doing other things. Okay, so your final step as far as styling is you're going to take one of those duckbill clips. You're going to clip the end here, because I like this to stay close to the head. So I want to clip that. But then what I do, so if you don't wear glasses, you can use a bobby pin. But if you're wearing glasses, I'm sure you know that if you tuck anything behind the ear and try to pin it, it's a pain in the butt, because your glasses leg here will like hit it. So what I do is I just push this side, literally behind my ear, this front piece. You can see I use this front piece. It's like from your temple to the middle of your ear. I'm going to tuck it behind. And then I'm going to take this piece, because you want this to kind of sit out just a little bit to give that illusion that there's more body to it. And you're going to pull it forward, and then you can just move your hair around. But then your final step, the final step, once you have everything where you want it. So like today, I'm going to run to Best Buy, get the controller that my little brother asked for. I've got a couple of errands I have to run. So I'm not really trying to make this too fancy or anything like that. Like, it's good. I like where it's at. I think it's cute. Hairspray. Like I said, you don't have to use a ton of hairspray. I use more hairspray than most, just because I like to shampoo my hair like once or twice a week. And then on top of that, when I go to style my hair, I don't like to use the thermal iron every single day. Usually the only thing I have to thermal iron every day is my bangs. Normally, if I can get enough hairspray in this, I can go a couple days without touching this with my curling iron. So, all right, and as soon as this is all done, I'll take a picture once I'm dressed, all that kind of stuff. I'm dressed, but not dressed for the day. So, all right, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching. Love you guys.